All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It's nice to see you in person. It's nice to know that on the other side of these cameras here, we have a following both on Zoom and on Facebook. It's really quite nice. We're going to begin our service this morning on page 103 of our Red Sidor. Page 103, I ask you to please rise for our morning lesson. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lana divina lefneinu v'layla. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam chatzani letzalmo. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam chatzani lemovi. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam chatzani Yisrael. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokea ibi. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam apishanui. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher atzuri. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tokef ketufi. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bahar hamayim. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam me'etzei gaber. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam chatzah lichot. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam odikra l'shura. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam odikra l'tivara. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam noten la'eskoah. Lutein hayom v'goyim v'cheinu hazrachamim b'nei kavod v'nei v'nei tovim. Baruch Adonai Shomei chasadim tovim ve'amo Yisrael. Spirim Lakoli, Pataka Saki Brazreni Simcha, the Makas Voloidom, and Lamotecha.
Mourner's Kaddish is on page 121. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba, Alma divrak yirutei v'yamlik malkutei, v'chayechon uvyom echon uvchaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen, Yehei shmei rabba mevarach ve'elam omei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemei dekudisha b'richu. Leilamin kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata d'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu be'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav huya aseh shalom aleinu be'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Good morning and welcome everyone to Shabbat services here at Temple Beth Sholom. We're so excited to have all of you not only here to celebrate Shabbat, but I hear word on the street as we are celebrating a wonderful bar mitzvah boy this morning. So if you're here to celebrate, we're glad you're here, whether in person in the sanctuary or via Zoom. Just a couple outlines of how we participate in services here. If you haven't been here before, please make sure that if you are a male, you have a head covering on, a kippah. If you don't have one, you can find one in the foyer. Simply slip it over your head. Additionally, if you are a Jewish male, please make sure you grab a talit and put that on over your shoulders. And one final request, we want to make sure that we maintain the sanctity of Shabbat and we also maintain the sanctity of the bar mitzvah. So please, if you have a cell phone, please make sure that it's in your pocket with the ringer turned off. It's going to be a wonderful day, and we're so glad all of you are here. I ask that if you're able to do so, please rise as we turn to page 122 for Pesukei de Zimra.
Baruch she'amar ve'ayala, Baruch hu, Baruch aseh b'reshit, Baruch ve'aseh, Baruch hu, Baruch atamei ha'olam ha'avraham v'yamim b'shmo. Yachikei ha'olamim melech mushbakam v'rei shemo hagadol, Baruch atah Adonai melech mehulal v'tishbachol.
Please be seated, page 123.
Hodu l'Adonai ki mishmo. Ki kol ha'amim elilim v'Adonai shemayim asa, hod v'hara lefanav v'zefehu. Romeinu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu l'kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu, v'hu rachum v'birmo v'leshki v'hir b'shem v'romatzot. El Yisrael. Adonai tziva'ot asher amoteach bach, Adonai Hoshia ha'melech v'yom koreinu.
Page 126.
Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalatzecha, urem v'nasem al ha'olam. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalatzecha, urem v'nasem al ha'olam. Nafsheni nitzal Adonai v'yidu kios. V'shakru lo Hashem shalom Elohav. Va'ani b'chatztecha v'tavti agel v'yishuatecha. Ashira la'Adonai ki gamal alai.
I ask that we please rise as we turn to page 132 for additional morning Shabbos blessings.
הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאלוהי האלוהים, כי לעולם עזרו. הודו לאדוני האדונים, כי לעולם עזרו. לעושי אורים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו. את השמש לממשלת ביום, כי לעולם עזדו. את הירח וכוכבים לממשלו בלילה. למוליך עמו במדבר, כי לעולם חסדו. למכה מלכים גדולים, כי לעולם עזדו. ויהרוג מלכים אדירים, כי לעולם עזדו. ונתן ארצה ולחלה, כי לעולם חסדו. נחלה לישראל עדו, כי לעולם עזדו. כי לעולם עזדו. נותן לכם לכל בשר, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאל השמיים, כי לעולם עזדו. כי לעולם עזדו.
Please be seated. We continue together 136 with Ashrei.
אשרי בביתך עוד ירוך סלע. אשרי שלך לא אשרי המשל נאי לא העתיד לעתיד. הרמים חי לו תהילת אדוני ברכי ויברך מוסר שם קודשו לעולם ועד. ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה.
Page 141.
הללו, 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 הללויה. הללו, 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 הללויה. הללו אל בקודשו, הללו ברכיהו זו, הללו בגבורותיו, הללו גרוב גבורתו. הללו, 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 הללויה. הללו בתקע שופר, הללו בנבל וכינור, הללו בטוב ובקול, הללו במנים ויוקר. הללו, 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 הללויה. הללו בצלצלי שמע, הללו בצלצלי תרועה, הללו בצלצלי שמע, הללו בצלצלי תרועה. הללו, 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 הללויה. כל השמות הללויה. הללויה. כל השמות הללויה. הללויה. הללו, 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 הללויה. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen. Baruch Adonai Shulchan Yerushalayim, Hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael, Osei nifla levado, U'reshem k'vado le'olam, v'yimaleh k'vado et kol ha'aretz, Amen ve'amen. V'yavar Avi.
Page 142.
Atahu Adonai HaElohim Asher B'chartam Ba'Avraham V'yoteto Mirkazdim V'sata Shemo Avraham U'matat Levo Leman Lefanecha V'garot L'Ametit Eretz V'hayam B'katal Livnehem V'yabaru B'tokum B'yabasha V'et Godfehem Yishaka V'imsalot K'mo Even Ben Mayim Mazim V'yosha Adonai V'yomamu Yisrael Mitzrayim V'ya Yisrael Mitzrayim Asafat Hayam V'ya Yisrael Et HaYirula Asher Asa Adonai B'Mitzrayim V'yiram Et Adonai V'yaminu V'Adonai U'v'Moshe Abdo Az Yoshem Moshe U'Banei Yisrael Et HaShirah Zol Adonai V'Imnu Le'mor Ashira L'Adonai Ki Gahoga Sus V'Rovora V'Vayam Ozi V'Zimradia V'Yehi Yeshua V'Zimradia V'Yehi Yeshua Ozi V'Zimradia V'Yehi Yeshua Ozi V'Zimradia V'Yehi Yeshua Adonai Imloch Le'olam Va'ed Adonai Imloch Le'olam Va'ed Tikak Miriam Ki la'Adonai HaMelech HaMoshe Elohim V'haMoshim Bartonish Boreisav V'hayt Adonai HaMenucha V'haya Adonai L'melech HaKol Ha'aretz V'yom ha'hu yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo
Please be seated. We continue together on page 145.
Nishmat kol chai Tivarek et shimcha Tivarek et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu Baruch HaKol B'Sazon Baruch HaKol Yidukini Malay Shakram Nehadel chaun shebechachon fa'erchon v'reket shemet kodshek v'mor l'David Barkin nafshi elumai v'kol krovai et shem kodsho Ha'alev v'tatzimur uzeka Agno b'kvod shemecha Yibwenet agno b'dorotecha Ha'melech ha'yosef Al kisei ram v'nisan
147.
Shochein ad marom v'kadosh shemo
Shochein ad marom v'kadosh shemo
V'katuv l'aleinu tzadikim ba'Adonai L'isharin avat tekila V'fi sharim tzitala U'divrei ושכן כל בת, כל היצורים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו, להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפעל, לרומם, להדד, לברך, להדנו, קלס, על כל דברי שירו ותשבחו, דוד בן ישי, עבדך ושיחך, ישתבח שמך, לעם מלכנו, ברכות והודות מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות הדוד הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלוהי העולמים.
As we transition into the Shema and its barakot, please rise on page 148 for Hatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם, ועמד יפלט רותי וימליך רבותי, וחייך ובמקום וחי לכל בית ישראל, בהגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מבורך, לעולם עמי ארמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויפאר וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי קדושה, וריבו לעילה, מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירה בהמה, ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך ה' מבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We're on page 150.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהים מלך העולם יצורי חושך, עושה שלום בורא כל, הכל ידעוך וברכוך.
הכל יום
אין קרקך ואין תלתך, אפס ביתך ומדומנך, אין קרקך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס ביתך גאלנו למות המשיח, ואין לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים. אל אדון כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך, לפי כל נשמה גדולו ותואו, מלא עולם דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו, המתקיים חיות הקודש, ונראה בכבוד על המרכבה, זכור ומישור לפני כיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם בדת, בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה, נתן בכם דיו מוסי בקרב תבל, מלאי מזיו ומפיקים נוגה, נאי זיווה בכל העולם, סומכים בצאתם, וששים בנועם, עושים באימה רצון קונם, ועבד חבוד נעמים לשמוע כל הערינה, וזכר מלכותו קרא לשמש, ויקרא אור רעה וכיתים צורה הבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום התפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש, לאל אשר שבא בכל המעשים ביום השביעי.
152.
תתמורה מושיענו על שעבר מעשה ידיך, ואמר שעשית יפרוך הסלע. תתמורה צורנו מלכנו ולנו פרק קדושים, ישתבח שמך לעמכנו.
153. 153.
כולם אהובים, כולם אהובים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים בהם רצון כולם, וכולם הולכים בפירוש התורה, ושירה וזמרה, מברכים ומשבחים, ומפארים ומריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא. וכולם כולם עליכם ומלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש נחת רוח, ושפה וברורה וקדושה, כולם כקדושים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. ואופנים וחיות הקודש, ורעש גדול מנסים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו, לאל ברוך נמו ייתן. המחדש מצוו בכל יום תמיד מעשה בראשית, כאמור לעושה יורים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו, אור חדש על ציון טהר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר הבורות.
Page 154.
אהבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה עמדת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו, בעבור אבותינו, שבחו בך, אבינו מלכנו. ותלמדם חוקיכם, כן תכוננו למדנו, אבינו האב הרחמן, אברהם רחם עלינו. ותן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, והארנו בתורתך, ודבר ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחל לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי הפועל ישועות אתה, ובאנו וקראת מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת. להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה, ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני Chaim Shemot. Bye. Adonai Elohim Emet. Ledor vador v'kayam shmo kayam v'kison apon u'malkuto v'emanato la'ad kayam et. Emet she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avotenu Malkeinu melech avotenu bo aleinu goel avotenu V'tzenu yeshuatenu bolenu asilenu me'olam shemecha Ein Elohim zulatecha Ezrat avotenu atahu me'olam
We're on page 158.
Oh, is that for Tehilot le'el elyon baruch hu v'orach Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael L'chanu shira b'simcha rabba ve'amru kulam Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar v'kodesh Nora tehilot seifele Shira chadasha shirehu ge'ulim V'shimcha zefat hayam Yachad kulam hodu Ve'imliku ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
Please rise.
To Israel, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, uvdeinu mechai kuta be'Yisrael, go aleinu Adonai tzevahot shemo, kedosh Yisrael, baruch atah Adonai, ga'al Yisrael.
The Shabbat morning Amidah begins on page 159.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rakel, Elohei Leah Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora el elyon Gomer chasadim tovim v'konei hakol V'zocher chasdei avot U'mevii goel livnei b'nechem L'ma'an shemo ve'ahava Melech ozer ufokir Moshiach u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ufokir Sarah Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayem et imata Rav le'hoshia Mechaker chayim b'chesed Mechayem metim b'rachamim rabim Somek noflim v'rofek oholim U'matir asurim U'mekayem emunato Lishenei afar Michamocha bal gevulot U'midom elav Melech menit u'mechayem U'matzmiach yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hametim Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam Kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom Kakatuv al yad neviyecha V'kara zeh el zeh ve'amar Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh Adonai tzevaot Melech kol haaretz אז בכל רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, ונשאים לעומת שרפים, לעומתה ברוך יאמרו, ברוך יאמר אדוני במקומו. במקומך מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו כמחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בעמנו, לעולם ועד תשכון. תתקדם ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לנצח נצחים, ועינינו תראינה מלכותך. כנעבור המון בשירי עוזך, על ידי דוד משיח צדקך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה, לדור ודור כי גואלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מגילונו של עולם ועד. כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue praying the Amidah silently. Please use the words of the Siddur to guide you, or the own private meditations of your heart.
If you finish praying the Amidah, you may be seated. We're going to continue with Kaddish Shalem, page 167.
יתקרב וגרש שמי רבה,
אמן.
ועמדי ברק ונותיו ונקמותיו וחי יכונו ומכונו וחי לבוא בין ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ומרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם עולם מעלמיים.
יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ונרבה וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קדושה.
ברכו.
לעינה מקבלתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונקמתה למירם בעלמה וימרו.
אמן.
תתקבל צלות תהום נבואו תהום בכל ישראל, קודם אבהון נביא שמיה ואמרו.
אמן.
יהי שמם הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל ואמרו.
אמן.
עושה שלום
במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו
ועל כל ישראל ואמרו. אמן.
Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with the Torah service in a couple of minutes, but just to explain to you what's going to happen, because it's a little bit different than we usually do. Preston was scheduled to become a bar mitzvah at the beginning of the summer. And so, because of the whole pandemic and everything, and we didn't know how to handle things very well, this has been a learning process, we chose to postpone his bar mitzvah a little bit. And so, for him not to have to relearn the entire Haftorah, we, based on the guidelines of the Committee of Jewish Law and Standards of the Conservative Movement, allowed Preston to read the same Haftorah for Parashat Emor today. So we're not going to read the regularly scheduled Haftorah, we're going to read the Haftorah from Parashat Emor, but that also implies we have to read the Maftir for Parashat Emor. So we're going to take two Torahs out of the Ark. So it's not that you've gone crazy or it's another special Shabbat or that Pesach is coming in 4 weeks. No, don't want to drive you crazy. It's just an unusual ritual. By the way, interestingly enough, it's absolutely 100% justified in the halachic process. There is no reason, there's no halachic reason. I don't really should say that in public because I know I'm going to regret it, but to read the Haftorah, right? The Haftorah is just a tradition. So besides the Shabbatot, we have a really scheduled Haftarah that needs to be read, like Shabbat Shkalim or Shabbat Parah, even Shabbat Nachamu, which was last week. We don't really have to do the Haftarah for that week. Now, don't let that out of the sanctuary or everybody listening to me on the internet, because the services will never be the same forever. But today, sorry? I know, that's what I'm figuring out. So just please let's keep it to ourselves and just an explanation of why this is happening. And in a complete celebratory mode for President, I'd like to call up to the Bima Andrew Paulina to present him with his talit.
Let us please rise as we join Preston's family in a Shehechiyam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechiyanu v'kimanu v'hegiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechiyanu v'kimanu v'hegiyanu lazman hazeh.
Let us please remain standing. We're going to continue with the Torah service, page 168.
Ein kamoha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein k'ma'asecha
Malchutecha malchut
kol amim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimo le'olam va'ed. Adonai rose lemo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harahamim heitiva v'rtzoncha et Zion tivnei
Omot Yerushalayim Tivnei Omot
Yerushalayim.
Ki becha levad batavnu, melech elam
v'nisa adon olamim. Vayahivin soah ha'aron, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai,
v'yafutzu oivecha,
v'yanusu misonecha mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki
Mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim.
Baruch Shenatan Torah,
Baruch Shenatan Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kdushato.
Baruch Shemei Demorei Alma.
Le'an haravet, ve'lifnei kadisha yafia, ana emam
Tushbehon Ye'era Ava Kodama Detiv Ta'limi Be'oraita Betashli Mishalim
Deliva de Olama,
Israel Betava Ohain
Ve'islam. For the Akafah of the Torah, when the Torah starts going down the aisle, please let's refrain from touching the Torah because Sakanat Nefesh, to protect our own lives. Just let them go back and forth. Thank you.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu l'Adonai Rome Mashemo Yachad
Lecha Adonai Hagelula, Hagelura, Hativeret,
Ve'hanetzach ve'hahod Ki ko b'shamayim u'va'aretz Ki ko b'shamayim u'va'aretz Lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha ve'amin na'aseh le'kol le'rosh Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishachchavu l'Torah kadosh hu Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishachchavu le'har kosho Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Let us please be seated.
morning of Akev can be found on page 1037. Page 1037, our reading of Akev. V'yazor v'yagim yashil l'chosim bo v'nomar amen. Hakol havu godol Eloheinu v'kavod la'torah. Ya'amod. V'yagim v'yagim Baruch Rishon Baruch Shem Torah Yom Yisrael v'Yisrael v'yatam yatim Adonai Eloheinu v'chayim v'chem.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. V'haya ekev tishrud, et hamishpatim ha'eleh, u'shmartem v'azitem otam, v'shamar Adonai Elohecha lecha, et ha'brit v'chesed asher nishba la'avotecha, v'ahecha v'ercha v'yirbecha, u've'rach privi v'yecha v'fuyad matecha, Tigancha v'tiroshcha v'yitarecha, shkar alafecha v'yashkeret sonecha, al ha'adama asher nishba la'avotecha b'latech, Baruch tiyeh mikol ha'amim, lo yevecha, akar v'akara u'v'hemtecha, v'heisir Adonai, mincha kol choli, v'chol madvei, mitzrayim ha'ra'im asher yadata, lo yislam b'chem tanam l'chol sonecha, v'yachalta kol ha'amim asher na'elohecha notei lach, lo tachos eincha aleihem, lo tachod et Eloheihem, ki moknei shulah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Our second reading begins with verse number 17, the top portion of page 1030. Ya'alav. Amnon ben Yochanan Sheni.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavarach. Baruch Adonai Hamavarach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Ki tomar bilvacha rabim Elohim ha'elam mimeni. Uchala horisham, lo tira mehem zachar tizkor. Hey, asher asa Adonai Elohecha lefaro lechol Mitzrayim, hamasad hagdolah asher ra'u einecha, v'ha'otot v'hamoftim, v'hayad chazaka v'hazroa hamtuyah, asher tziacha Adonai Elohecha, ken ya'aseh Adonai Elohecha lechol ha'amim, asher atah v'gam et ha'tzirah yishlach Adonai Elohecha bam, ad avodah nisharim v'nistarim ipanecha, lo ta'arot mipneihem, ki Adonai Elohecha b'kirbecha, el gadol v'norah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
We're continuing with our third reading, the bottom paragraph on 1038, verse 22. Ya'amod. Yosef ben Shlomo Barachel Shlishi.
Baruch atah Adonai Barach. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. V'nasha Adonai Elohecha et hagoyim ha'el mipanecha me'at me'at lo tucha kalotam maher v'terveh lecha chayat hasadeh untanam Adonai Elohecha lefanecha v'mulagdu la'ad hisham dam v'natan lachem bi'adecha v'ha'avadetai shema mitachat hashamayim v'yatei ish befanecha ish michalotam zilei lo yehem shukun ba'esh lo tachmod kesef zahav alehem v'lakach ta'ahal cha'lach v'penti ba'keshbo ki to'avad Adonai Elohecha hu v'lo tavito eva el beitecha v'ayita cher kamohu shakek tishatzenu v'ta'ek titavenu ki cherem hu.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. We now move into chapter 8, the middle of 1039.
יעמוד יצחק ושלמה בפניו ויהי.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaBarak
Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu es Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Kol hamitzvah asher anochi titzavcha hayom tishmeru ma'asad l'ma'an tihyun u'rvitenu atem b'rishtem et ha'aretz asher nishpat Adonai l'avotechem v'zacharta kol ha'derech asher halitecha Adonai Elohecha zeh arba'im shana b'midbar l'ma'an anavcha l'nasatcha adan asher b'lecha hatishmor tzvotav im lo v'yancha v'yarivecha v'chol l'ma'an asher lo yadata v'lo yadun avotecha l'ma'an hotiacha ki lo al halechem levado yifye ha'adam ki al kol motzafi Adonai yifye ha'adam.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam lecha v'shtacheinu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. We're now continuing with our fifth reading. And our reading begins on page 1040, the top portion of the page, verse number 4. Ya'amah.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach
Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Simlat lo vel tamei alecha v'raglecha lo batzeka ze arba'im shana v'yadata yiluvavecha ki kasher yeser ish et bino Adonai Elohecha mi'asrecha v'shamarta mitzvot Adonai Elohecha lechet yiracha v'yira'oto ki Adonai Elohecha v'yachal eretz tova Eretz nachalei mayim ma'inot u'tomot yotzim b'dikach u'bahar Eretz Eretz Italu Sorah, V'gefen Uteina, V'rimon, Eretz Zek Shemen, Vash, Eretz Asher Lo, Miskenu Tochol Ba'lechem, Lo Texar Kova, Eretz Asher Vaneham Barzel, Mehareha Taktov Nekoshet, V'achalta V'savata, Uve'rachta Adonai Elohecha, Al Haaretz HaTova, Asher Natan La.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We're moving along to our sixth reading, the main paragraph on page 1041, verse number 11.
Yamod Yadoru Lefana, Sisi.
Baruch Adonai Habarah, Ukanam Baruch Olam Boed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam, Asher Baruch Rabban Mikol Hamim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yishamer lecha, v'tishkach Adonai Elohecha, v'vilti shemor mitzvotav v'mishpatav v'chukotav, asher nochim v'savcha hayom, pentochal v'savata uvatim tovim tivnevi ashavta, uvkar v'atzavcha yirdud, v'vesem zahav yirbelach, v'chol asher lecha yirbeh, v'ram l'vavecha, v'shachach Adonai Elohecha, hamotziacha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim, hamalevecha b'midbar hagdol v'hanorah, nachash saraf de'akraf, v'tzimahon asher imayim, hamotzi lecha mayim mitzur ha'kolamish, hama'achilcha man b'midbar asher leduna v'techa, l'man anotcha, l'man azotecha leiticha v'acharitecha, v'amarta v'yovavecha, kol ki v'yotzem yadi, asali et achayom hazeh, v'zacharta Adonai Elohecha ki hu anotem hakoach, k'asot hayom, l'man hakim et brito asher nishba la'avotecha kayom hazeh.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam, Asher Natan Lanu Torah emet, V'chayei olam atah b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
We continue now with our seventh reading, the second paragraph on 1042, verse 19. Ta'amod. Shvi.
Baruch et Adonai Habarach. Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Ba'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'charbanu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'haya, im shachaloach tishkav Adonai Elohecha, v'halachta acharei Elohim acherim, v'vadeta v'shachavita lahem, ha'idoti v'achem hayom, gavoto le'jud, kagoyim, asher Adonai ma'avit b'pnechem, kem tole'jud. Eikev lo tishme'u b'kol Adonai Elohechem, Shema Yisrael, Ata v'hayom et hayertein, v'avol ha'reshet goyim, dolim atzimim minecha, arim galot zrok ha'shamayim, ha'gadol ha'ram b'nei anakim, asher ata yadata v'ata shamata, mi yatzei lifnei b'nei anak, v'yadata hayom, ki Adonai Elohecha, hu ha'over lefanecha eishokla, hu yashmidem v'yachmiem lefanecha, v'horashtam v'havadatam maher, ka'asher diber Adonai la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam atah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So now we're going to do something a little different. Since we have our mitzvah, we're do our concluding reading from the portion of Emor. We're now going to go to the end of the portion of Akev on page 1053 for our Acharon Aliyah. We'll be reading the bottom paragraph on 1053, verse 22.
Ta'amod Tzipora bar Avraham Avinu v'Sara Imenu Aharon. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Kim shamor tishmeru kol hamitzvah hazot asher Elohim mitzavetchem la'asota li'ahavat Adonai Elohechem alechet b'chol derachav u'davkavo v'horish Adonai kol hagoyim ha'ela mi'ifnechem v'rishtem goyim gdolim b'atzumim mikem kol hamakom asher tiro ha'vraglechem bo lachem yemin hamidbar v'hal manon min hanahar nahar prat v'yam hayam ha'acharon yeduchem bo yezeh ish b'fnechem ha'asechem v'vorachem iten Adonai Elohechem al pnei kol haaretz asher tirba asher diber lachem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nota betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. We now rise to the chanting of the half-mash. Yikada, yikada, shemei rabba. Yamani, v'rach, yirutei, v'yamlik, malkutei, v'chayeh, v'amru, yomei, v'chayeh, v'chol beit Yisrael. V'agala, u'yizran kari, liberu, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mechora. Le'olam u'le'olam ne'amaya. Yibarach, yibarach, v'yishtabach, yibar v'yishamar v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitawel, v'yitalav, shemei kedusha, li'eheva, v'kover bata, v'shirata, v'shvechata, v'nefemata, ta'imran me'alma, li'beru, amen. We remain standing for the raising and the binding of our first Torah scroll, Yom Adla of Galila, a sacred heart.
Bezot Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael api Adonai v'yad Moshe.
May be seated. At this time in our service, we'll do our special Misha Berach, prayer for healing, for those in our community that need such a prayer. During the blessing, I'm going to take a pause where we can mention names of those who need a prayer. We're going to allow the people on Zoom to go first, and then we'll do here in the sanctuary.
Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Serivka Rachav Aleya u'yivarech Rabet Volim.
Carol Hotmayer, Brianna Fritzler.
Sheila Gershman, Malka Fega, the Davidsons.
Ethel Batianto, Yosef Flake, Arnold, Judy, Brody, Ron Mills. Peter Ginsburg.
Gedalia ben Hans, and David Heskel ben Avraham.
עליכם זרוקה רפואתם, לשלוח לכם מהר הרפואה שלמים השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף בתוך שאר הפועלים, וזה לידי עושים בצורכיכם, שבאתם לזרוק לקרובו לבוא, השלב מזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. ימון, 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 הבחור הבר מצווה, דוד בן מיכאל וצפורה, מפטיר הזק.
So now, for our concluding reading, we're going to turn backwards to page 733, the middle of the page, verse number 21.
Let us please rise.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואימותינו רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך את דוד בן מיכאל וצפורה שהגיע למצוות והלך היום לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרנו ויחיינו וכונן ליבו להיות שלם עם אדוני אלוהיו להגות בתורתו ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור את מצוותיו להיות מצומצו את לימודו להורדת באדם אוהב ואהוב וננו היום ובכל יום לכנו רצה רחמים בעיניך ובעיני כל רואיו ושלח ברכה והצלחה מכל מעשי ידיו יהי רצון שיזכו הוריו לגודל לתורה לחופה ומעשים טובים ונאמר Amen.
May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Preston who has been called to the Torah upon reaching the age of mitzvot, with reverence for God, the Torah, and the Shabbat. May the Holy One protect and sustain him, helping him to be wholehearted in his faith, to study Torah, fulfill the mitzvot, and to walk in God's ways. May he have the strength to find his calling to be a person who is both loving and beloved, and may he find love and compassion today and every day in your eyes and the eyes of all who see him. May he start journeying to maturity, guiding Preston to a love of Torah, to the blessing of Chuppah, and to a life of good deeds. And let us say, Amen.
Segment of Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, segment of Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, segment of Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, segment of Yehelanu, 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 Hu Ebo Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Hu Ebo Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, Hai Hai Vekayam, David Melech Yisrael, Hai Hai Vekayam, Mazel Tov.
We'll remain standing for the raising and the binding of our second Torah scroll, Yamdu Haggadah Galila, the Sefer Torah Hashem.
V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai le'am Moshe.
מי שביחדתם ורוצק ליעקב צריך כרחל ולאהב יברך את כל התקומה של התורים וכל המתפללים אותם וכל משפטותיהם הקדוש ברוך שלח ברכה וצלחת כל מסייליהם עם כל ישראל מחייהם ונאמר אמן. Let us be seated. We are going to continue with the chanting of the Haftarah for Parashat Emor. Again, I explained why before. This was Preston's original proportion at the beginning of the summer. You can find this Haftarah on page 735. Page 735 of our Chumashim. 735. Actually, a beautiful Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher Batorah, Moshe, Avdo, Uvivye, Amo, Yisrael, Amo, Uvivye, Ha'emet V'Tzedek.
Amen.
V'Hakohanim Havi'im, B'nei Tzadok, Asher Shamru, at Mishmeret, Mikdashi, Bitot B'nei Yisrael, Me'alai, Hema, Yukrevu Elai L'Sharteni, V'amdu Lefonai, L'Hakriv Li, Kelev V'Adam, Ne'um Adonai Elohim, V'Hema, Yavo'u El Mikdashi, V'Hema, Yikrevu El Shulchani, L'Sharteni, V'Shamru Et Mishmati, V'Hoya, V'Vo'am El Sha'arei HaChatzer, HaPnimi, B'Gdei HaFishtim, Yobashu, V'Lo Ya'aleh, Aleichem Tzemer, V'Shartam, V'Sha'arei HaChatzer HaPnimi, V'Avaita, Ha'arei Fishtim, Yiyu, Al Rosham, Umiknesei Fishtim, Yiyu, Al Motnehem, Lo Yachru, Ayaza,
Setam, El Hechatzer Hagitona, El Hechatzer Hagitona, El Ha'am Yifshitu Et Bigdehem, Asher Hema Mishartim Bam, V'hinihu Otam V'lisho HaKodesh, V'lavshu V'gadim Acherim, V'lo Yikachu, Et ha'am b'vigdehem, v'rosham lo yigalechu, u'fera lo yishalechu, kasam yisimu et roshehem, v'yayin lo yishtu kol kochen, v'vo'am el hechatzer kapnimit, v'almana u'grusha lo yichu lachem l'nashim ki im tilod mizera bet Yisrael v'ha'almana asher tiyeh almana mikochen yikachu ve'et ami yoru ben kodesh lechol u'ben tameh l'tachor yodi'um ve'ariv kema ya'amdu l'mishpatai yishpetuhu ve'et torotai ve'et tukotai v'chomoadai yishmoru ve'et shototai yikadeshu ve'el met adam lo yavo l'tam'av ki im le'av u'lem u'vem u'vat le'av u'achot asher lo hayta le'ishi tama'u ve'acharei toroto shiv'at yamim nisperu lo u'byom ve'oya el hakodesh El Hechatzer Hapnimi L'Sharei Ba'Kodesh Yagriv L'Chatato Ne'um Adonai Elohim V'chayta Lachem L'Nachala Ani Nachalatam V'Achuzah Lo Titnu Lachem B'Yisrael Ani Achuzatam Hamika v'chatat v'ha'asham ema yochlim v'chol chirem v'Yisrael lachem yiyeh Bereshit kol bikorei chol v'chol shumat kol mikol shumotehem l'kohanim yiyeh Bereshit arisotehem Titnu lakokein lechania b'mracha el beitecha kol nevela u'trefa mincha'ot u'mincha'kema lo yochlu chakohanim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim Tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha v'davar echad midvarecha achor lo yeshu recham ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman atah baruch atah Adonai ka'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav rachem al tiyam ki hi beit hayenu v'la'aluvat nefesh toshio b'chera v'yameinu baruch atah Adonai v'mesameach Tzion v'banecha
Amen.
Ameinu Adonai Eloheinu v'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha u'malchut beit David Shishika, Bifera, Yako, Viodia, Livinu, Ofisa, Loisha, Zar, Loi, Kalu, Ofirim, Etkoto, Kivishin, Koshika, Mishwartalo, Shaloi, Zero, Lelam, Baed, Baruch Magin David.
Amen.
Allah Torah, Be'al Hamim, Be'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh, Shenatata Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, B'Kedusha, B'Linucha, L'Chavod, U'Tifaret. Ahakol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu Odim, Le'ach U'Barhim Otah, Yitbarach Shimcha, B'Fikol Chai, Tahim Le'lam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai,
Baruch Shalom.
V'Kadesh HaShabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Today is a very special day for me. Besides feeling both excited and nervous, I've waited for this day for a long time. My original date, May 9th, was changed through the coronavirus pandemic because everyone was forced to social distance and temples were closed down, which would mean my bar mitzvah would have been done via Zoom, which I did not want because I wanted to be a migrant in the Jewish community that helped me get to where I am now. One of the special things that we had to do was reset the Torah from my original dictate. This actually shows us one of the most important aspects of the Jewish religion, flexibility in times of adversity. I was able to just continue studying without having to learn a whole new Torah and off tier from the beginning. I'm very relieved that today is finally happening. I prepared very hard. There were times that I just didn't know if I could pull through. I did it. I am here and I'm very proud of it. It is great to be around my congregation because it gives me a sense of safety being in big numbers. I also like being surrounded by people who are older and wiser than me. That is one of the most incredible feelings I get every time I come to the temple. Being a bar mitzvah is being a man in God's eyes. This is important because from this moment on, you will be a Jewish adult, meaning you will participate in all Jewish rituals. For me, this is an initiation to the real Jewish community, as you will be able to be counted for rituals which you weren't able to do before you became a bar mitzvah. This process has been hard because I was not born Jewish, and my family converted to Judaism. I didn't know any Hebrew, so I had to learn from the beginning to study Hebrew letters, their sounds, and vowels. Overall, this has been an extraordinary process, and I wish to continue as a Jewish man. As we have been shown in the last months, no one really knows what life will bring. There is one thing I can share though: Judaism will continue to be a great influence on my life, as well as I will continue to be Jewish, and continue to go to temple, and continue to do all the Jewish rituals. So far, Judaism has hosted the influence of my life, and it's taught me more about Jewish history and connect with God. For example, my original Torah portion contained the verse that teaches when something happens in life, when I have to exact an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And then I learned that we really never applied that law literally, and that great part of our justice system, and how we view restitution nowadays comes from the interpretation that our sages had on the verse. Judaism is exciting because it allows me to see life through a sense that explains why we do things we do today. I would like to thank my parents for giving me this opportunity to become bar mitzvah and pushing through this. And my teachers, DJ and Adam, for helping me learn how to become a bar mitzvah, and also my rabbi for helping me throughout this whole experience. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Allah welcome. Following your name, please come to the Lima this time. Come on, Andrew, you don't have to say anything. Just
Preston, when you first shared your thoughts about converting into Judaism, we expected some pushback from you. Instead, to our surprise, you willingly listened and adopted the idea. Immediately after our conversion was finalized, bar mitzvah plans were in full effect. Learning how to read Hebrew was only the beginning. I remember thinking to myself, wow, Adam and DJ are incredibly optimistic, as Preston had never been introduced to the Hebrew alphabet. He, however, didn't see a single problem. It's almost as if he had missed that crucial piece of the puzzle. I wonder if he was not comprehending what was expected of him. The lessons began. As time went by, it became very difficult. But son, you kept going. Proud parents would be understanding. We can't begin to put into words how we feel. I hope this experience is only the beginning. For someday, you too will be teaching your children the responsibilities and joy of being Jewish. Adam, DJ, rabbis, we can't thank you enough. We are filled with gratitude. Thank you to the entire Temple of Sholom community for welcoming our family. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Please ask us to rise. We're going to continue on page 177 of our Sidurim, of our prayers. We have prayer for our country, and we have somebody joining us via Zoom for the prayer for our country. Page 177.
Our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessing upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, officers, and officials who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you have decreed, so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. Adonai, God whose spirit is in all creatures, we pray that your spirit will be awakened within all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant love and companionship, peace and friendship among many peoples and faiths who dwell in our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly, the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land. May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth, and may you cause all peoples to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall know me. And let us say, Amen.
We continue on page 178 with a prayer for the state of Israel. Let's pray together in Hebrew. Avinu shel Shamayim, Sur Yisrael v'Goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Bereshit tzmicha geulatenu. Agel alea bרכת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך. ושלח אורך ובנך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ותגלה מבצע טובה מלפניך. חזק את ידי מפני ארץ קודשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ואתן ניצחון תאבן, ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר אמן. We continue praying a prayer for peace, page 178. We pray responsibly. Somebody's joining us on Zoom for that.
Pray for peace. May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world.
The nation will oppress the nation, and the human family will not again know war.
For all who live on earth shall realize, we have not come into being to hate or to destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love.
Compassionate God, bless the leaders of all nations with the power of compassion.
Fulfill the promise conveyed in Scripture, I will bring peace to the land, and you shall lie down, and no one shall terrify you.
I will bring the land to peace, and it shall not be ravished by war.
Let justice and righteousness flow like a mighty stream. Let God's peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea. And let us say, Amen.
Let us please be seated. We continue praying Ashrei, page 181. brother for the leader. Shabbat Shalom. Let me start this morning by just sharing with you something unique about Parashat Ekev beyond its meaning and its content. It's surrounded by two bookends that are unique. The last verse in Parashat Vaychanan, "V'shamart et hamitzvot v'et hachukim v'et hamishpatim asher anochi metzaveh hayom la'asotam," has the word Ayom in it. And the first verse on Parashat Re'eh that we will read next week, Re'eh anochi noten lifneichem Ayom bracha u'klala, also has the word Ayom in it. So that is to say that these two bookends contain the word Ayom, today. And the word Ayom is repeated no less than 12 times in Parashat Ekev. By the way, this is one of the ongoing themes of the book of Deuteronomy. Over 72 times we find the word Ayom, today. So this really gives you a sense of what the book of Deuteronomy really had in mind for the Bnei Israel. To teach them a sense of presence. Because they really were not present from the exodus from Egypt. Moses took entirely different people from Egypt to the Promised Land. The majority of the people that left with Moses had died. And this new generation didn't understand what it meant to live in freedom. They didn't understand what it meant to do things for themselves. Remember, at every turn, they complain about something. It seems that God and Moses spend more time saving us from ourselves than actually guiding us to the Promised Land. And so the word Ayom becomes tremendously important because it gives life a sense of urgency. Today is urgent. Not only tomorrow, but today. And of course, when you understand life with that meaning of urgency, you run the risk of only concentrating on what happens to you right now. And so the whole entire book of Deuteronomy is a balance of making us understand that you have to put life in perspective. That life is a combination of what went on before, what will happen right now, and also what happens next. That one cannot live our lives only on today. There's of course a cliche that you have to live life for the day because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And of course, in the last couple of months, that seemed to be actually very, very precise. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's the message that life is sending us. But Judaism really has a completely different message. Ayom means understand the context. Today means understand where you stand. Not only where you have been, not only where you are right now, but also where you're going. Now, it is very, very important to understand the context of the word Ayom. Both Martin Buber and Franz Rosenzweig, tremendous philosophers of our people, consider the word Ayom a guiding word in the book of Deuteronomy. Without it, perhaps the book would not be anywhere close to what it is today. And this really sets it apart from the other narratives in the Hebrew Bible. It is its own thing. As Rabbi Hudson explained last night, it was probably discovered, or actually not only discovered, but also redacted and written during the time of King Josiah. Completely at a different time than the revelation of Sinai, if you want to go with the traditional explanation. And I know that literal biblical criticism is not very popular with many, but it's actually very real. And we can't ignore history. There is another verse in our Torah portion that places the word Ayom in absolute context. Lo al lechem levado yeh adam. Not only on bread are human beings sustained, but on everything that comes out of the mouth of God. That means that life is not only about the material things that we have today, but of the spiritual things that we acquire that propel us to tomorrow. And that is one of the differences that really have characterized the Jewish people across the ages and across time. While others were only looking at today, we're looking at today and tomorrow. We always keep our eye on the ball, to put it in parochial language. It is important to understand that material possessions, that physical well-being is not the only important thing in life. That you must have physical well-being, but you also have to have spiritual well-being, because without it, there is no tomorrow. Aaron Joshua Heschel once wrote that revelation lasts a moment, acceptance continues. Revelation lasts a moment, but acceptance continues. What happens to you today happens today, but it affects you for the rest of your life. Ayom means that you have to live with the consequences of today. And that's why we take the present seriously, so we know what we're facing in the future. There's something that's been happening around our communities around the world, the Jewish community, that I really want to share with you this morning. If you looked at social media, if you looked at the newspapers, a lot of my colleagues have really taken the tone where they're pleading for the life of the Jewish community as we know it today, where they really express a need for people not to leave the community, not to leave their congregations, to stick it out through the pandemic, not to abandon us. And every time I read one of these pleas, my heart really shrinks and it breaks into pieces. Because it's really the overranging feeling of what's happening to the Jewish community in the United States. I think that the pandemic accelerated it, but it's been happening for a while. Transitional Judaism, where you actually exchange something for being Jewish, is actually what's taking hold of our community. Once I don't need to be in this space, I just leave. Transactional Judaism. When you transact, when I have a kid that's going to become a bar mitzvah, okay, I'll just leave. I'm not going to come to the high holidays because of the COVID, so I'll just leave. Why do they need? I don't need them, they don't need me. What people forget is that way of thinking about the present completely obliterates the future. One of my colleagues, Nicole Guzik, in Sinai Temple in Los Angeles, wrote a beautiful article saying that this is not the year to opt out of your synagogue, of your community. And she couldn't be more right. Here in Las Vegas, ironically, we have not experienced that. I believe we haven't experienced it because we have already shrunk so much in affiliation that there's no much place to go. But in larger communities, the pinch is being felt tremendously. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've had our share here. Just this week, a family in our community, in our congregation, with children who became B'nai Mitzvah, who came to a religious school, decided to tell us that we're not renewing their membership. Not because they were receiving less income, not because they felt that it was hard economically, but because they really, with everything that's going on in the world, and I quote, they don't need to be members this year. Nothing could be further from the truth. This is when we need one another more than ever. Judaism is not about transacting with what we do. Judaism is not about saying, well, I'm here today because that's what I need. I won't be back tomorrow. If you want our community to be here tomorrow, we have to be here for the community, Ayom, today. Look, Jewish Nevada, Jewish Federation, and you haven't heard me praise the Jewish Federation often from the pulpit, but I'll do it today. The first thing they did when this pandemic started, they released funds in an overwhelming amount so that anyone that had hardship and came to the rabbi or to Jewish family services would not lack food on their tables. Think about that for a second. Without anybody asking them, without anybody knocking on their door, Jewish Nevada did this. Why? Because that's what Jews do for one another. And by the way, if a non-Jew came knocking on my door, I would help too. That's what we do. But we won't be able to do this tomorrow if we believe we live in a transactional community and we belong to a transactional way of life. What message are we sending to those the day mitzvah? That we're now living because we don't need the synagogue anymore. God forbid they need our help tomorrow. Today they're wealthy. Today they live in the riches. But if they need our help tomorrow, because everything changes in life, because life is not only about a yom today, but about a yom today and tomorrow. What are those parents that just left us because they didn't need us going to say to their children, oh, we really cannot go there because we were not there for the community where they needed us? No, they will come with all the chutzpah in the world. And we will be here to help because that's who we are. But you know what? It shouldn't come to that. And I see Jerry's laughing. He was the president of the show in Chicago. And he knows what's going on very well. This is the ongoing theme of the Jewish people. Look, whoever's familiar with rabbinic texts and with the Rishonim and you read what they wrote to other communities, you know that even in the Middle Ages and before they were experiencing things like this. During the bubonic plague, which we were blamed for. By the way, a newspaper in Toronto, a Polish newspaper in Toronto, yesterday blamed COVID-19 on the Jews. So this is not new, right? During the bubonic plague, we were the only ones that were dying in the masses because we were washing our hands. But by the same token, we read from our sages that people were not interested in clinging on to their own community because they didn't know what the world was going to bring tomorrow. The world was going to end. So this is not new. The world is not ending. And if you're using the pandemic as an excuse to skirt your obligation as a Jew, shame on you. Hayom, it means that we're here today because we need to be here tomorrow. I mean, I cannot just think it any other way. I cannot disguise it. I cannot tell you of a metaphor. This is the way it is. My father-in-law, who, by the way, is one of the nicest people in the world. I mean, he has no mean bone in his body. Somehow, when he was younger, was selected by the Jewish day school where my wife and my brother-in-law went to be in their board. And they gave me the job of seeing that people on scholarship could actually not afford their school, meaning he needed to verify that people that asked for aid actually needed the aid. This has to be the worst job anybody can ever get. And I asked him, Jorge, how did you do that? I mean, he said, oh, you don't know what we did. We followed the school bus to see where they lived. I said, really? Yeah. And we found that some of them got off on the wrong place. And then they went to their home by car. So they wouldn't catch them. Then we started looking at their passports. And we were looking at their passports to see where they had been on vacation. And you wouldn't believe how many of them had been to Hawaii. When my father-in-law told me this, I thought he was making it up. He was not. Look, one of our parents in religious school who told us they're not sending their kids not because of the pandemic, but because they cannot afford it. I turned on my Facebook. I kid you not. They're on a trip to Hawaii, waving goodbye from the tarmac. What are our priorities in life? What do we want our children to learn from us? This man behind me has spent 3 weeks following every parent in the religious school. The excuses. And we say, look, we have financial aid. Please, let us help. It is unbelievable. I really hope that our history has told us where we stand today and where we need to be tomorrow. Because tomorrow we all need to be standing together. I want to end with a quote by Dr. Seuss. Hopefully this is a language that everyone can understand. Today we're you, but it's truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. And that's the Jewish people. Shabbat shalom. May please ask us to rise. We're going to continue on page 184 with the Chatzit Alish for Musaf.
Yitkadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra kirutei ve'amlik malchutei v'chayechon v'mechon v'chay l'kol Beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman chali v'niru Amen Yeshmei Rabbah le'ala ve'alama yamaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'mamin aseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalav Shemei Kedusha Refu le'ena mikom regata v'shirata Tushmechata v'nechamata lamir ha'mel ha'venu Amen.
The Musaf Amidah begins on page 185.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor, v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel v'Tzadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Gazdei Avot, U'Mevi Goel Livnei B'neikem, V'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Ufokei Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ufokei Tzara. Atah gibor le'elam Adonai, mechayem etim atah Rab le'Moshiach. Mechakel chaim b'chesed, mechayem etim b'rachamim rabim. Somek noflim v'rofek holim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato b'shenei afar. Michamocha bal gevurot, u'midome lach, melech meimid u'mechaye, u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot meitim. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye ha'meitim.
Amen. לא יצחק ונקדישה כתוסת הקודש המקדישים, שמך בקודש ככתוב על יד נביאך, וגרזל זה ואמר.
נעריצך ונקישך, כסות שיח כספי קודש, המקדישים שמך בקודש, כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו כבודו מלא עולם משרתיו שואלים זה לזה איה מקום כבודו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו Baruch Adonai Mikomo. Mikomo yifem rachamim v'yaponam ham yachadim shemo
Eloheinu hu Avinu hu Malkeinu Moshienu v'hu Yashmienu v'rachamav Sheni le'nei kol chai Nai 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 Li'ol lachem Li'ol lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim U'divrei kodshecha katuv lemor Im lo Adonai le'olam Elohai Tzion Ledor vador Hallelujah Ledor vador Ledor vador Ledor vador Nagigol lecha U'netzach Netzachim Kedushatecha naqdish V'shivcha Eloheinu Mipinu lo yamush le'olam fahed Ki hamelech gadol v'kadosh ata Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Amen.
We continue praying the Amidah silently. For those of you still praying your Amidah, please continue to do so. The rest of us may be seated. We'll continue on page 203 with Kaddish Shalem.
Yikral v'yikral shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'amati v'rak v'tev v'nekmon v'tev v'chayet kol yemei chon v'chayet kol Yisrael b'gala u'bizman kari v'meru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mekara ve'alamu me'al Maria. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitba'arim amin aseh v'yitadar v'yitalem v'yitalal shemei kedusha. V'yi'elam mikol b'rakatav v'shiratzat tushb'katav v'nechmat adamiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Titkabat zlot tehon v'u tehon chol Yisrael kodam avnu shemaya v'imru. Amen. Yehesh lamar amin shemaya v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav u'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
En Keloheinu is on page 204.
En Keloheinu, En Keloheinu, En Kemokeinu, En Moshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Kemokeinu, Mi Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Mokeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shitzi
Before everybody rises for Aleinu, let's calm down for a second. I would like to call upon Janet Simon to please come up to the bima. Janet's she's one of our members of our board of directors, to make presentations to Preston on occasion of his becoming a bar mitzvah.
Preston, I have to say, as someone who doesn't know you, I am very impressed with how comfortable and your mastery of the material that you did today. And it showed all of your hard work, and we're really proud that you're becoming part of our community and you're a bar mitzvah here today. So on behalf of the congregation, I have some gifts for you. First of all, your certificate of bar mitzvah, which you have very ably earned. Chumash from women's league, so you can study words of Torah when you're not in the sanctuary. The Kiddush cup from Men's Club for Friday night. Now you have your own Kiddush cup. And a Havdalah candle for you as well. Mazel tov. On behalf of all of us.
President Sholom. I have a couple of things to share with you this morning. Only one physical thing, the rest is just a couple of things I want to say. First of all, we're so proud because we know not how difficult, it's not difficult, but how much perseverance we need to be able to reach this moment. And we know that you were not born into it, right? That you have to come later in life. So it was not an intuitive thing for you. And you did very, very well. Not only the way you chanted prayers, but when you walk into this space, when you walk into the synagogue, you feel comfortable. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very happy with that. Because it says a lot about who you are and that you actually want to be here. One of the things that I really want to share with you this morning, Preston, is about the uniqueness that we have as a person. That is something that we have to always cherish, and actually not always cherish, but draw upon for the rest of your life. You see, we as Jews have very complicated identities, right? We're not just like, I was born in Minnesota, that's it. No, that's not how it goes, right? The majority of us have parents who were born somewhere, grandparents who were born somewhere else, and then many of us, we don't know if we're going to stay here for the rest of our lives or not. Because now we have a state of Israel. So, at least all of us are born with one foot here and one foot there, right? I'm an American, but I'm a Jew, and it's not only a religion, it's a way of life. So you understand what that means. Look, the moment you decided to become a Jew, you know that you can become a citizen of the state of Israel. Not everyone can do that. So, just like I was born in Mexico, but I live here now, and I could also be coming out tomorrow to Israel if I want to. Part of the family was from Guatemala. You were born here, and you can also go to Israel tomorrow. What I'm trying to tell the person is that as complicated as that sounds, and as difficult to actually uncompartmentalize, it's absolutely beautiful. And that's one of the things that actually make you so different, that will make you stand out in life in a positive way. Because you understand life unlike many other people, from very different perspectives, all combined in you in one single time. You know what it's like to be from Central America. You know what it's like to be an American, and you know what it's like to be a Jew. And when you bring everything together, that gives you the power to look at the world through very special eyes. One of the things that happens is that people think that Jews are super bright, nonsense. We're the same as everybody else. What makes us different is really our life experience. Not only the one that we have today, but the one that we have gained, and the common experience that we have as people. And you are part of that now. So not only do we take from our DNA, but we get from our DNA. So I am so proud and proud of our people because we get to learn from you. And we get to inform who we are. You see, in other cultures, when you join other religions, you need to completely let go of who you were before. That's not the case with Judaism. You're still who you are. And that's what's incredible. Because now, it's a self-improved you. And I'm sure that everything that you've seen and everything that you will see will make your life a blessing for all those who cross your path. Not only for you, but for everyone around you. Personally, this is the beginning of a long chain of trying for the Spirit, of standing up to the things that we can use to love, of speaking out, and of being there for others. That is when your identity actually starts from you. And I hope that you live up to that. Not only in this moment, not only at your moment, but for the rest of your life. First, I have for you a special certificate that says that we at TBS Sholom have planted a tree for you in honor of becoming a bar mitzvah in the land of Israel, in the state of Israel. May you have the privilege one day to travel to Israel and see this tree with your own eyes. And may you grow up to be as tall and as proud as this tree that we're planting today. It is a metaphor for who we are as a people. Mazel tov to you and to your family. Let us please rise. יברך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. Que Dios te proteja y te bendiga, que Dios te cuide con su luz todos los días de tu vida, que Dios te eleve en sus alas y te otorgue su paz. Amén. Let us put your stand for Aleinu, page
205.
205.
Aleinu l'shaveh adon hakol, latei gedula le'otzer reishi, shelo asan v'yeh haratzon, ve'lo saman v'yikachot adama, shelo saman v'yikahem, ve'korah v'yikachot amona, v'anachnu holim, shumishachavim holim,
שינו את השמיים ויוסד הארץ, שמשה בקרוב בשמיים מן השם.
Coming to the Torah Tzedakah, Adonai Yimod Le'olam Va'ed,
ונאמר, אלוהי אדוני,
Please be seated. Our sages in their infinite wisdom decreed that even while we have times of extreme simcha like a bar mitzvah, extreme joy, we're still allowed to be sad and reflect on people who no longer walk the earth. If you have a need or desire to say the mourner's Kaddish, it can be found on page 207. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba, ve'alma divra kirutei v'yamlik malkutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dekol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen, yehei shmei rabba mebarak le'olam u'mei maya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisham v'richu, Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabamin shemaya, v'chaim aleinu be'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu be'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. Once again, we have an opportunity to hear from Janet Samek, one of our board of directors, for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to start by thanking Rabbi Hudson, Rabbi Goodman, DJ, and Preston for leading us in services today. And Mazel Tov to your Preston and your family. Thank you for joining us for services this morning, both in person and online. Tomorrow's morning minyan service starts at 9, and it is online and in person, as well as Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. Here's a short list of upcoming offerings. Religious School Open House is tomorrow at 9 a.m. The ECC Homeschool Pods, USY and Kadima, are open for enrollment. Underground Las Vegas and Intro to Judaism start in 2 weeks. In our online class, Essential Talmud and History of Zionism with Rabbi Goodman, as well as chair yoga and boot camp with Liz Goodman, continue. Rabbi Goodman will have a conversation with Dave Nichols, and that is happening on Tuesday, August 11th at 6 o'clock. Dave is the pilot of Israel's Olympic bobsled team, who's looking to qualify for the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing. Come listen to Dave's story and be inspired. And if that's not enough for you, we have the high holidays coming up. If you have not had an opportunity yet to read the letter that went out this week about what TBS plans for high holidays, please take a moment and seek it out in your inbox and read it. If you're not receiving our weekly emails, please check our website for more information on how to become a member of our growing community. If you know a temple member who is ill in the hospital, ill at home, or in a nursing home, please contact the temple office and please let us know. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Janet. Adon Olam is on page 211.
Adon Olam Hashem Allah B'terem kol yitzer nivra V'nasa le'sokol Zay melech shemo nivra V'acharei kiklot hakol Levado imo nora V'hu haya v'hu hove V'hu yeh b'tzifara V'hu echad ve'en sheni Lehamshil lo le'abira B'li reshit b'li tachlit V'lo ha'oz ve'hamitzra V'hu eli v'chai go'ali V'tzur hevli be'etzara V'hu nisi u'manos li Menat kosi be'yom ekra Be'ado avkid ruchi V'yitishan ve'ayira Ve'imruki geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira V'shamru v'nei Israel Et ha-Shabbat V'asot et ha-Shabbat L'darot amorit olam Beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam Ki sheshet yemim asarunai nishman ve'et haaretz U'vayom ha'shvi'i shava va'inafash Al kein baruch Adonai yom ha'shvat v'kadshehu
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri chagafen.
Amen. L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
I don't want to touch it.
Adonai Osme Moiten, Adonai Varech et Emo Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.